So we've moved into a nearby cotton NPE trial. This trial belongs to local cotton producer Albert Urbanic. Albert has been an NPE cooperator with Deltapine since the inception of the NPE program. NPE stands for New Product Evaluator. This is a program that was developed by Deltapine years ago, and this is actually a belt-wide program that encompasses cotton growers from across the belt, and we asked them to test products for us, new products, experimental products in real-world situations on grower farms across the cotton belt from California to the Carolinas, and we seek their feedback. We get their information on how they grow cotton. This is on their farms, large-scale operations, and so we've actually moved over to Albert's operation in his trial. We've got our commercial varieties planted, as well as 4 experimental cotton varieties planted that we're evaluating this year for potential release for 2021. So we'll take a look at our varieties that we have planted here today, and as well as talk about the NPE varieties that we're looking at and evaluating for potentially 2021 cotton varieties for the area. So Deltapine 1646, released in 2016, given the number, the first 2 numbers of the variety give the year of release. The last 2 numbers would indicate the relative maturity. This is a mid to mid-full maturity cotton variety. It's a smooth leaf. You can notice that it's a medium tall plant. It's a very aggressive grower, has a very strong terminal to it. Does require early PICS management in this particular variety, and certainly in a year like this when we've had pretty decent rainfall season long, this does require some early PICS management to maintain plant height in this particular product. It does have a tendency and can get out of control if you let it. So, but it's a smooth leaf product, very widely adapted plant, can grow in all of the areas of the upper Gulf Coast across Texas. It's very widely adapted to the tune that it's been the #1 planted cotton variety across the U.S. for the last 3 years. What you get out of this product is consistency, yield, and excellent fiber quality. If there is a weakness in this product, it's the fact that it is still a Bogard 2 product. So that Bogard 2 gene, you might end up having to spray for bollworms in this product, depending on the year. And in this year in particular, we are starting to see some bollworms break through Bogard 2, and so there have been some applications made here in the recent days and the last couple of weeks for bollworms in Bogard 2 traded cotton.
So Deltapine 1646, when it was released, was really a variety that was kind of pegged for more of the southern U.S., but as the years have gone on and this product has been evaluated, it's really been a broadacre fit all over the U.S., which is rare for a product of this maturity. And so, you know, not only has it fit on a lot of acres, but it was really the next step change when it came to yield potential as well as fiber quality being packaged in together. If you look over time, we could always get some yield increases here, but it didn't necessarily equate out to fiber quality gains, or vice versa, where you had a variety that was very high fiber quality but didn't yield as well. And so this is one that has raised the bar not only for us as Deltapine, but as our competitors look to advance their varieties as well. And so it's really pushing the industry to come out with varieties that really have that package of high yield and high fiber quality. And so this variety obviously isn't going away anytime soon. A lot of you have had this on your farm and have had experience with it and know what it can do in the good situations and in the tough situations as well. But as we work through the rest of these varieties, we feel pretty confident that we've got some new sets of genetics and some new products that have equal to or better yield and fiber quality as well. So stay tuned and as we cover those.
Deltapine 1840 is another broadly adapted Bogard 3 Extend Flex cotton variety in our lineup. So this is one that is actually kind of new for the upper Gulf Coast. It's one that we had in our trials last year. did really well in the area. I think it's actually going to give 1646 a run for its money in terms of yield, excellent fiber quality in terms of fiber length. It's also a smooth leaf variety, much like 1646, and also brings bacterial blight resistance into the package as well. So again, this is one that we're looking at here in the Upper Gulf Coast to give us that you know, a little diversity in the lineup versus something like 1646, and give us the Viptera trait with the Bogard 3 package. It's also an aggressive growing product, so much like 1646, you'll need to start your PIX management pretty early with this product.
So Deltapine 1840 B3XF was a variety. We talk about the NPE program and testing those experimental products. This was actually a variety that wasn't tested here in South Texas or the Upper Gulf Coast as an NPE product, because it was kind of pegged as a variety for the southeastern U.S. And so, you know, as we moved into the initial class of Bogard 3 products that we launched and so on, we felt like, you know, trying to get that Bogard 3 trait and giving 1646 a run for its money from a yield and fiber quality standpoint, we wanted to take a look at this product because it had a lot of nice attributes to it, you know, on paper. And so Scott mentioned that we had tested it last year and have it in plots again this year, and you know, it looked really good last year. We have a fair amount that growers planted this year, had a little bit out last year, and we're pretty successful with it. So I think it's one that we kind of dug around and found and said, hey, let's give this one a shot. It's got a lot of nice things to it. And so this is one to keep in mind. Definitely has a fit here in the Upper Gulf Coast on some acres.
Deltapine 1851 B3XF is a full season cotton variety that we tested last year in broad scale testing here in the Upper Gulf Coast of Texas, and did excellent. Again, this product has the VIP trait in it, so we get that third trait for the LEP species, and it's aggressive growing product. As you can see, it's pretty tall here in this plot, but this is another product that needs to be managed pretty early and pretty aggressive with stance and other growth regulators here in our area. Certainly a year like this when we've had an abundance of rainfall. It has partial resistance to bacterial blight, excellent yield potential with this product, and I would say it's above average on fiber quality. But again, another product that has a really good fit here in the Upper Gulf Coast of Texas, and I think a very good complement to a product like 1646 with the VIP trait in it.
So Deltapine 1851 B3XF was kind of in the same boat as the one we just previously talked about, Deltapine 1840, that was more of a pegged as a southeastern U.S. Variety that they plant a lot on dry land. And so taking a look at it last year, pretty exciting yield potential with this variety. Scott did mention how it played out last year. It was pretty much, from the commercial standpoint, the top performing product for a wide area of South Texas where we did test this product. So this is one that I think we've got a fair amount of it out there with growers this year. It's obviously in our plots again. This is one to definitely take a look at. I would say don't let the numbers scare you from the standpoint of maturity, because it tends to get a little bit earlier than what the number would suggest here in this environment in the Upper Gulf Coast of Texas.
Deltapine 1948 B3XF is a product that we actually tested for 2 years in our NPE program here in the Upper Gulf Coast before we released it as a commercial variety. Last year was our first full year to have this product as a commercial variety here in the Upper Gulf Coast. Exciting thing about this product is it's you see it's a medium statured plant, much easier plant to manage from a PGR standpoint than any of the products that we previously talked about. So it responds much better to stance application or PIX application than the previous products that we've talked about. This product also has the highest quality fiber package of anything that we've talked about as well, even higher than 1646. I think this product is going to have an outstanding year from the looks of it across our plots and where it's planted in commercial fields. This is, again, medium statured, kind of a robust looking plant. Very interested to see what this product is going to do this year in 2020.
So DP 1948 B3XF, I'll just add on a few comments. One other thing that comes along with this variety here is excellent storm proofness. It has very tight in the burr, so it's not very showy once you defoliate it, but it does pick really clean. And so those are some of the comments that we've received from growers over the years. And really, if I look at some of these Bollgard 3s, this one does tend to have a really good fit in the upper Gulf Coast. This variety does not travel as much as some of the other ones, but it is more so a Texas type variety. So it really does well in the state of Texas. Like Scott mentioned, this one by far, year over year, is probably the highest quality variety that we sell as Deltapine, at least in this lineup, in this part of the state.
So Deltapine 2012 B3XF is one of the new releases for 2020. We actually released 5 new products in 2020 in the Deltapine lineup. And what's unique about this product and the next one is that, and that's Deltapine 2020 that we'll talk about, is that these are early to early mid-maturing cotton varieties. That's fairly unique for the upper Gulf Coast. We tend to be in a market that demands something in that mid to mid full maturity range. And the weather has kind of forced us over the last few years to look for something a little earlier in maturity. This product, Deltapine 2012, as we tested it last year in our NPE trials here on the upper Gulf Coast, looks like it fits that bill. So this is an early to early mid maturing smooth leaf cotton variety. Very large seeded product, brings us the bacterial blight tolerance that we need for this area, and it actually gives us excellent yield for its maturity. And overall, last year in the trials that we had it in, it was our #2 yielding cotton variety. Also brings us excellent fiber quality as well. So we're very excited about Deltapine 2012 and Deltapine 2020. We kind of talk about them in the same vein because they're very similar in terms of maturity, and they were 1 and 2 in our yield trials a year ago.
So Deltapine 2012 B3XF as a whole, or as a brand, looks like it's going to be a very broad acre fit product from the East Coast all the way down into South Texas and even into West Texas. And so we're really excited about this product. You're going to hear us talk a lot about it going into the fall and things like that. Once we have grower meetings and so on. And so we're really looking at this variety pretty hard. It's very exciting to be able to have something in that early maturity range that truly looks like it has a broad acre fit and definitely a fit here in the upper Gulf Coast of Texas, because that's something as a brand that we just haven't had for a while. And so, this product here, it can be an aggressive grower, but it responds very well to PGR application. So that's something to keep in mind. A lot of times people think, well, an early variety doesn't necessarily usually means that it's very, very determinate and you don't need a lot of PGR applications applied to it. But this one here, it can be an aggressive grower, has pretty good strength of terminal, which I like in an early season variety. Since it could potentially hold on through the tough times and wait for a rain and kind of kick back off and keep growing. So keep this one in mind. We're pretty excited about this one, and you'll be hearing more about it in the future.
Deltapine 2020 B3XF was again a brand new release for this year, and this is a early mid-maturity semi-smooth leaf. Also has the bacterial blight resistance, and this product, testing last year in our NPE trials, was our #1 performing product across the average of several trials here in the upper Gulf Coast of Texas. So this is a product that we're very excited about bringing to you here in Texas for 2020 and beyond. This, unfortunately, we were not able to get a lot of our supply to you in time to plant for this year. We were able to get it in several of our trials, so we're hoping to provide you with that yield data. But again, excellent yield potential with this product, as well as fiber quality, and again in a medium statured plant, much like 2012, large seeded product, and again very aggressive growing, but responds very well to our PGRs.
So Deltapine 2020, another one that we're very excited about here in the upper Gulf Coast of Texas. I think really it's another nice product that's in a little bit earlier maturity range than what we typically have been selling here in the upper Gulf Coast. And really, I think this product here or the one we just talked about, Deltapine 2012, can really be interchangeable, I feel like, on a lot of acres and can complement each other. And so another high yielding, early mid maturing product here that we're pretty excited about. Has a very nice overall agronomic package to it and very nice appearance out in the field. And this is one that I think will definitely be a big player for us in Texas moving forward into the future years.
Deltapine 2038 was our third release from the class of 2020. Another Bollgard 3 XF product. It's a tall plant. You can see here it's very tall, and it's another smooth leaf variety with bacterial blight resistance. We're going to position this one here in the upper Gulf Coast as more of an irrigated type variety. One thing you'll notice about this product is it's got a very columnar fruiting pattern, but we've seen this one to be more advantageous on that irrigated type of ground. So we would not recommend this one to be put on your tough dryland acres. We've got other varieties that have a better fit in that type of a situation. But if you've got good water, this one's going to produce for you. Very high yielding product, going to have average, probably average at best, fiber quality with this product 2038.
So DP 2038, this product here, it's a nice product in the sense is that it kind of really falls true right in that mid maturity range, which is appealing to some growers. I think the key thing to remember with this product is PGR management. You have to start early. I would argue that this may be one of the most aggressive varieties that we currently have in our lineup from a growth standpoint. So you have to start pretty early with the PGRs, and the way we are going to position this product in the upper Gulf Coast, trying to keep it on those irrigated acres where you're going to be pushing higher yield environments on those acres, you definitely need to start early with the PGRs on this particular variety.
So Deltapine 2044 was another release out of the class of 20, Bollgard 3 XF, and this product last year in our NPE trials, to be quite honest, did not have the best performance. We're reevaluating it here in the upper Gulf Coast. You'll notice it's a medium statured plant, semi-smooth leaf. It's got excellent fiber quality, and it has a lot of dryland toughness to it. So for those reasons, we brought it back in to reevaluate it here in the upper Gulf Coast. So again, it appears to have, be a little easier to manage from a growth management standpoint. And we really like the plant, the way the plant looks in the field and the ease of management. Certainly the fiber quality aspects of it, we like that. So we wanted to bring it in and have another year of evaluation with it here in the upper Gulf Coast.
So DP 2044 B3XF, when we look at this product, we think toughness, and that's kind of why we're reevaluating it yet again in our plots this year, and have got some of this spread out there with growers. I think the potential for it to have some really tough dryland type of fit, that's really what we're looking at to see if we have that fit there, coupled with that really good fiber package. So has very good early season growth to it in tough conditions, and so that's why we're taking a look at it again. So stay tuned, and we'll keep y'all informed on performance of this particular variety. So I'm going to talk briefly about our NPU varieties that we're testing this year. We've got 4 products out here on this farm that we're looking at, ranging in maturities from an early on up to about a mid is what we're looking at this year in this particular plot. And really looking at the high level notes on some of these experimental varieties. I think fiber quality is key. There's one that is very high fiber quality. We're looking at some increased increased seed size, early season vigor on some of these varieties as well. And so along with some really high yield. And we've talked about a lot of these commercial varieties already today, and you have to think when we're looking at evaluating plots, we have a pretty strong commercial lineup from 1646 all the way to the class of 20s. And so for one of these varieties to stand out is a pretty tall task for a lot of these varieties, and that's a good spot to be in from a company, because we've got a lot of options out there to look at from an overall yield and fiber quality standpoint. And I also want to mention, we don't have it planted out here today, but we do have some spread around. We've got a variety that we are evaluating on ground that has high counts of reniform nematode, and not a broad acre problem across South Texas, but we definitely do have some areas of the upper Gulf Coast that have reniform nematode problems. And so we've got an experimental that will be up for commercialization this fall that is actually reniform resistant as well as root knot resistant. So I want to talk to you briefly about the next big trait, next big thing coming from Bayer Crop Science and the Deltapine brand here in the near future, and that is the Thrive On technology in cotton. And so, well, what is Thrive On? It is actually the thrips and ligus trait that we've been developing for a number of years now. And so it's a new exciting trait that we're still under regulation or stewardship right now, and so those testing locations have to be fairly monitored or monitored fairly closely, that is. And we've got plots out there that where they're looking at the insect efficacy on thrips and ligus bugs, the plant bug species, as well as separate trials that have varieties looking strictly at yield and fiber of that particular technology. And so the time frame on commercialization going into 2021, we may be able to get some seed out or have kind of a soft launch of it, if you will, if it comes off of stewardship with limited amounts of seed, obviously. But it's something that we've been talking about a little bit and just wanted to update everyone on. And as we get this thing commercialized, I think there's some opportunity to do some screening, maybe for whether or not this trait has some efficacy on flea hoppers, which we know here in Texas is a big pest across all of the cotton acres. So today I want to talk briefly about growth management in cotton, kind of from start to finish, kind of the backstory, if you will, kind of what it does, how it works, because I think there's a couple common trends that I notice out here in the field. Number one is, I think ultimately in this day and age, and I'll explain in a minute, I think we probably lose more cotton to overgrowth than we do lose more cotton to over managing a cotton crop with PGRs. If you think back since the inception of the branded picks years ago, cost was prohibitive to be able to put out a lot and a lot very often. At the same time, you think about, at that point we were growing a lot of varieties that were short season, very determinate varieties. And why was that? Well, at that time we were battling boll weevils, we were battling worms, you had a lot stacked against you. And so the thought was, if you could plant an early season crop, early maturing crop, make it as quick as you could, and basically race those pests, that was kind of the production practice that we were in at that time. When PICS was first introduced, during those times, if you did get in a period of high rainfall or something and a lot of growth, you're putting out very low rates after the cotton was already pretty rank. And so I think if you look at where we've come for those past 30, 40 years now, I think if you look at the varieties we've grown, we've taken care of the weevils, where we always battle some worms to some degree, but we have traits now to keep those worms out of our crop. And so really we've been able to grow more of those full season type cotton varieties and achieve more yield. And so I think it warrants talking about a little bit from a growth management standpoint, that I feel honestly that kind of the mindset has changed to some degree, but I still think, you know, the adage of, you know, am I going to hurt this cotton putting out, you know, small rates of a PGR early on? Is it going to shut it down? And I think more times than not, I mean, it depends on the type of ground, it depends on the weather, it depends on, you know, a lot of those environmental factors and a lot of the field history. But, and of course, as a grower, you know those fields that get rank and those that don't are the ones that are hard to manage. And so I really think, you know, early on applications of some form of a PGR are very beneficial to, you know, earlying up the crop, keeping it at a manageable level on overall plant height. You know, I think that kind of goes back to what I said. I think we lose more cotton with underutilizing those PGRs than we do losing cotton over applying PGRs. And so, you know, if I think about it, the way a mepiquat chloride works in the plant is really it targets that one enzyme, gibberellic acid, within the plant, which gibberellic acid is the enzyme that promotes that shoot growth. Okay, and so what it's doing is it's obviously inhibiting the production of that enzyme, and we obviously will not so much shorten the plant, but we are shortening those internodes as that crop grows. And so it also works off a dry weight concentration in the plant. And so if you are applying a PGR early in season, it takes less of that product to be able to get that growth effect that you're looking for when applying a PGR. And so I really think, you know, getting some of that, getting it out early, it goes a very long way, as opposed to trying to catch up late, because late in the season, when you have a big plant, like I mentioned, it works off a dry weight concentration in the plant. When you have that big vegetative plant built out there, it's, as some of you have probably experienced over the years, it can be almost impossible to stop some of these varieties. And as we talked today, we had quite a few of them that are fairly aggressive from a growth standpoint. And so we know that we need to start early with those, and so, or early with the PGR application. And so, you know, all the factors involved when you're out scouting, looking at, you know, internode lengths and things like that. I mean, fruit retention's key, the weather's key, whether it's been cloudy or sunny, soil moisture content, how much moisture you got stored in the soil. But, you know, I always like to, when I'm scouting for growth, like to go out there and really the method that I use is if you start at the top of the plant and you count the first leaf that's the size of a quarter and count down to 4 between that 4th and 5th node on the top of the plant, that's going to be that internode of most aggressive growth. So if you think about, and you can really see field history, that's the great thing about cotton, is you can then count back below that, say 3 nodes, and you can really see the history of growth of that plant. You get about 10 days or so of growth history right there, even below that, you know, that internode there between that 4th and 5th node. And so, you know, you hear us talk a lot about getting out PGRs early, getting out some form of a PGR out early to really help with some of these more full season aggressive growing varieties. And I think more times than not, at least that I've seen, that it really does benefit you as a grower to get some of that out earlier than maybe what you are used to doing, maybe at a little bit higher rate than what you may be used to doing. But like I always tell folks, I would rather do something when it comes to growth management than do nothing. And so a lot of times if it's feels a little bit uncomfortable, then maybe cut it back a little bit, but at least do something as opposed to nothing when it comes to growth management of a lot of these Deltapine varieties.
One product growers can consider for managing plant growth is Stance. Stance has actually 2 active ingredients. In addition to mepiquat chloride, it also includes an active called cyclanolide. Using both of those modes of actions actually allows us to use rates down to 2 to 4 ounces. Typically what we would like to see is for that 2 ounce rate to go out at match head square, and then we can follow that up with sequential applications as needed to manage the height and the growth of that plant. This particular field, we had 2 ounces at match head square, and really set us up for being able to manage that growth even with some excessive rains here late.